The external world does not exist. You know this. But say that to your body whenever something happens or you see something and then you get triggered and then you react and now you're spiraling thinking my manifestations aren't going to happen, I don't know what to do. Getting triggered is a response to something, and that stems from the beliefs that you have created throughout your life, especially from childhood, and then the assumptions that you have created from all of those beliefs. Beliefs and assumptions are the same thing. But when I'm talking about beliefs here, it's really those core beliefs that you have created while you were growing up. So let's say, for example, you see your recipe with a third party. You get triggered because now you're thinking, well, they don't love me. We are never going to get back together. I'm never going to get my manifestation. It's all going to shit. I don't know what is happening. I was doing my affirmations, blah, blah, blah. You start spiraling, and that can come from a belief that you have deep down about feeling unloved, or feeling like you're never chosen, or like you can't have what you want. Or it could be that you are talking to someone, they say something that you really don't want to hear, and you get triggered and you lash out. That's a trigger. We all know what a trigger is. But how do you stop getting triggered so it doesn't affect your manifestations? In this video, I am going to explain what triggers are, but more importantly, I am going to tell you exactly how to stop getting triggered so you stop reacting to the 3D and manifest everything that you want. If you don't know me, I'm Alex, I'm a manifestation coach, and I am the coach that brings you all the results by combining EFT and the law of assumption. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. When you are manifesting, it is so important to stay in that state of the wish fulfilled, especially important when the 3D is not showing you what you want. When the 3D hasn't caught up yet with your desires, with all of the work that you are putting internally. And that is why you have to persist. When the 3D shows you that you don't have that thing, that's when you keep saying to the 3D and saying to yourself, no, I am not having this. My internal reality is the one that matters. This that I'm seeing is not the truth. And I've said this so many times. The 3D is like a hologram of your beliefs, of your past beliefs, especially if you have started working on your self-concept. I saw someone else explain it like an echo in the mountain, where you shout something and eventually it comes back to you. That's basically what it is. You change your beliefs, you stay rooted in those beliefs, you persist in that, and then the world matches that. But when the external world is showing you the opposite of what you want, it is so hard to not react. And everybody does it. But there is reaction and reaction. And that is the key here. Because if the external world is just showing you what you believe, deep down, a trigger is just a reminder. A trigger is just to remind you to go back to your new reality, to connect with that, to persist in your new belief. And that is why triggers can actually be really good if you react to them the right way. Because you can react to them as, yes, this is just, like the alarm bells, or you can react and completely lash out and completely throw everything out the window. And that's the one we want to avoid. The spiraling, the feeling like it's all coming to an end. But I also want to remind you that if you spiral, that's fine. Give yourself some grace. It's not the end of the world. It's just something that happened. Let it go and come back to your new reality. At the beginning, you might be reacting a lot. You might be spiraling a lot. The more you practice coming back to your new reality, the more you practice persisting in your new beliefs, the easier it will be to not react and to not spiral. It isn't just one spiral or one trigger that is going to absolutely dissolve all of the work that you have done towards your manifestation. It's an accumulation of feelings, an accumulation of experiences, what you do, everything. It's a state of being. So if you spiral for 10% of the time, you still have 90% of the time where you haven't. Focus on that 90%. The brain gets so focused on all the negatives, but you always have a choice. You can always come back. Something that I also wanted to mention is that everything is neutral. It only is whatever you assign to it. It only means whatever you want it to mean. That means that two people can meet the same one person and both have a completely different assumption about this person. Two people can have the exact same experience happen to them and they will react completely differently to that experience. Because everything is neutral, you only make it good or bad from whatever beliefs you have about it. So to go back to it, getting triggered is not actually a bad thing. What happens after is what will make it either a good thing or a bad thing, whether you react as noticing it or reacting as completely spiraling. So whenever something triggers you, analyze it, ask yourself, what's happening here? Am I giving power to the external, and do I need to go back to what I am actually believing in myself? Use it to analyze it. Okay, what thought is coming up here? What belief is being triggered here that is making me react to this thing that I am seeing? It doesn't have to take hours and hours. You don't have to journal for 300 pages until you get the answer. Just ask yourself, trust your intuition. That belief is gonna pop up and just be like, here I am. So just notice it and be like, okay. And then you can do the exercise that I'm gonna tell you. Once you notice, once you have that awareness, you can change that. You can go back to your new belief, to the affirmations that you are having, to whatever you are manifesting. The more you do that, the less power you are giving to that external world. And then that world will dissolve. It will completely change because you have changed. The world can't show you something that you don't believe because it's just a reflection of your beliefs. So if that belief isn't there, it's not going to show up. I hope that is making sense. It's like if your SP then says, I don't love you, and then you spiral and you are like, well, they don't love me, they're never going to love me because they said. No. What if instead of spiraling and being like, oh no, they don't love me, you just said, no, I know that they love me. Whatever you are saying, you do you, but I know that I am the creator of my life. I am the operant power. I get to change all of this by changing myself, what beliefs I have. So when something like that comes up and you are getting triggered, what would you rather believe? What would you rather have happened? So how would you rather react to this situation if you really knew and understood that the external world is completely inconsequential, that the 3D is completely inconsequential, because your internal world is the only world that matters? So my trick for this is use tapping. Of course, tapping is my thing, but it works so well because tapping is like a pattern interrupt. And it works so well in recreating the neural pathways that have led you from point A to point B, and here you are spiraling after the trigger. So you break this neural pathway, you change it up to something that is actually useful, that helps you persist in your new reality, and you can change that up. And because a trigger is an emotional response, tapping works so well because you go back to the emotion and you cut it at the root. And that is a game changer. So there are two ways to work with this. First, you can sit down, identify the things that trigger you, the things that you have noticed have triggered you in the past that you want to change. Go back to it and analyze what emotions are coming up, what feelings, what thoughts. If you can, think of what belief have I attached to this. So if we go back to the example of your SP, you see your SP with a third person, you then think, well, they don't love me, we are never going to get back together, I'm never going to get what I want. The belief behind it can be that, well, I'm never chosen, or I'm not good enough for them. Let it come through. See what happens. Once you are clear on that, switch it up. What would you rather believe? Because you know that this is not the truth. So what would you rather believe? Once you have that, we tap. Bring back the emotions of seeing this thing happen, this thing that triggers you, and we tap on the forehead, kind of eyebrow area, side of the eye, under the eye, and the collarbone. Then you squeeze your wrist and say, peace, and then we move on. Okay, so bring up the emotion of this trigger that could happen or that has happened in the past that you know really triggers you, and we tap here. All of these feelings, all of these emotions. This is so silly. Why am I even being triggered by this? Side of the eye. Because this isn't the truth. I get to choose my truth, and this is not my truth. Under the eye. So I let it all go. I let it all go. Holding on to this is just silly, and it doesn't serve me. So I let it all go. Collarbone. I let it all completely go. Go. Like the clouds on a windy day. I let it all fully and completely go. Squeeze your wrist, take a deep breath in, say peace, and go back to it. Again, notice the trigger. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? See a kangaroo coming across, dressed all in sequins, like she is going to Taylor Swift concert, and she kicks this person, this experience, this situation away with one of her legs or arms. Punch it out. Go back to the trigger again. What are you feeling? What emotions are coming up? And we tap again. Oh, this is just so silly. So silly of me to think this. Side of the eye. I understand why this has happened, but I choose to not take it on with me. I choose to let it go. So I now fully and completely let it go. Under the eye, I let it all go. I don't want it. I no longer need it. I choose my new reality. So this no longer exists. I let it all go. Collarbone, I fully and completely let it all go. I completely let it all go. Squeeze your wrist, take a deep breath in, say peace, and close your eyes and imagine what is the new reality that you are trying to manifest. If it is, for example, that your SP is with a third person, then see yourself with your SP. If it is you having a fight with someone, then imagine you having the best time with this person. If it is about money, then see yourself with the money. What would you do with this money? And now what you are going to do after this is you are going to tap on the different points again, but with your affirmations. So if your affirmations are like, I am worthy, I deserve love, I am safe, all of those, you just tap through the different points to kind of fill the gaps that you have created with the tapping of letting go. So you kind of create the neural pathway again with the new affirmations. So next time you won't be triggered the same way. The other way that you can use tapping for when you are getting triggered is literally immediately, as soon as you get triggered, you tap. This requires awareness. So that's why I was saying that the first exercise is to create a list, because it will start creating the awareness that whenever this happens, you are going to get triggered. But the more you start noticing your triggers and your beliefs and your thoughts, you are going to notice when a trigger comes up, because it's just going to be like the odd one out in the whole group. The negative belief in the middle of all of the positive ones that you have been creating. This works as a pattern interrupt. Again, that is exactly what you need in the middle of that trigger, so you don't spiral. So let's say that you noticed your trigger, and what you are going to tap is, I don't care. This is completely inconsequential to me. I believe X, whatever you are trying to manifest here. So this, I completely let it go. These emotions are not needed. Under the eye, all of these feelings, I just let it all go. I let it all go. It's not the truth, it's not the reality. On the collarbone, I let it go. This is not the truth. This is a past belief that I completely let it go. Squeeze your wrist, take a deep breath in, say peace. And then again, what you can do here is do a quick tapping with some of your affirmations. If you have affirmations for every area of your life, but you just got triggered by your SP, for example, then just say the affirmations for your recipe. This is going to take you out of that trigger, out of that emotional state, into something else, and is also going to calm down your nervous system. What you can also do instead of affirmations, let's say you are in public, you can do a quick tap. What I do if I am in public is press hard on the different points while I repeat that I let it go, that this is not the truth, and then just imagine something very silly, or your favorite movie, or something funny that you saw on TikTok yesterday. Anything like that to, again, switch the brain to think about something else. And this is really the easiest way to stop any triggering happen or any reaction to the 3D, so you can really stay rooted and persist in your new reality that you are creating. I hope that this video was useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and make sure that you like and subscribe. It really helps get other people to find out about these techniques that can be absolutely life-changing when it comes to your manifestations. And I will see you in the next video.